and welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns.
Let's go, baby!
Let's go, baby! Yes, sir!
Clowney, baby!
Yes, sir. And before we get into all of that, we have a co-host of ours that has a birthday today. And
The
Mac
birthday
the
boy.
Buffalo.
Mac the Buffalo, happy birthday, bro!
The Buffalo boy.
27 years old. How you feeling?
Just any other day. No, I'm kidding. But it's just you know, I'm 27, but the body feels like it's 35. So
them football years, that's the problem. The football years, they take a toll on you. They take a toll on you.
Kind of age like milk, you know.
Mac, you're getting closer to being old Ed here.
Oh,
hey. Step
pretty.
and step closer, one step closer.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'll be wearing those white New Balances.
They're great for cutting grass, Mac. They're great for cutting grass.
and being the pit master.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's right.
And I think we spent too much time on Mac right now. I'm just kidding. We're just gonna transition and we're gonna go straight into some break ed news.
Give it to us, Ed.
That's right. This is Ed in Columbus with your Down with the Browns break-it news. The Jadavian Clowney watch is officially over as the former number one overall pick chose to re-sign with the Cleveland Browns. Whoever said that a roster with Baker Mayfield on it as quarterback couldn't attract free agent talent must be eating humble pie right now, or maybe cheesecake in a parking lot. In other news, Deshaun Watson and the rest of the Browns offense seem to be having a great time in the Bahamas. If you thought I was going to insert a joke here, I had one written, but I do want to keep this gig. And finally, our very own Mac the Buffalo celebrates his 27th birthday today. And with the average lifespan of a bison being between 10 to 20 years, I just have one question. How did we get that lucky? I'm going to come to Down with the Browns
Break it news.
Gotta love Mac.
So the funny thing is that what everybody doesn't know, so Ed runs through his break ed stuff in the when we're all sitting here before we go live, and he wouldn't tell me the third one, so I was not expecting that, but yeah, it's pretty scary, when your nickname's the Buffalo and you Google it and see what the life expectancy is, and it's literally 20 years old. So
now water buffaloes can live up to 25. I read.
Shout out to Water Buffalo.
So you're out facing the water buffalo, man. You are an elite buffalo.
I'm the oldest one to record.
Buffalo.
So.
And you're not 0-4 in Super Bowls.
Mr. Miyagi of the Water Buffalo.
Big shot there.
And since it's the birthday boy today, it's his day. We're just going to talk about something he's been pounding on the table for about 3 months now.
He's shaking.
I mean, this has been in the making. I've mentioned it in about 4 of my articles with the Cleveland Stampede. I've lost sleep over it. You're looking at it. You hear right before St. Patrick's Day that he's going to sign, and they give him this offer, and then there's just nothing, and it's just all just silence. Just days pass, nights pass, and you're sitting there and you're just like, okay, is he going to sign? What's the deal with OTAs? Does he want to participate? Does he not want to participate? And then you're just going back and forth, and you keep thinking in the back of your head, you're like, hey, some team's going to get desperate. They're going to offer him a ton of money. Clowney's about the money. But it turns out that this is the absolute best deal for him. Now, when I heard this news, I was driving back from Geneva on the Lake. I'd spent the weekend with my parents for my birthday, and I'm driving back. And I get this text in our group chat. It's Manny, and he says, Clowney is back. Now, of course, the skepticism kicks in, right? Negative Nancy takes over, and it's just like, what are you talking about? I have no alerts on my phone. I went on Twitter. I put the notifications on for 6 different reporters. So I'm like flipping through, and I'm like, what is going on? So immediately I FaceTime everybody, and I'm like sitting there. I was like, love of God, somebody please answer. And the minute that Manny picked up the phone, I got the notification from Shefty, and I was ready to rip my steering wheel out of my Impala just with excitement, because you guys have this changes absolutely everything, because now they can get away with a little bit subpar in the tackle room, and they have another year developing Alex Wright. And I mean, 9 sacks, 27 pressures, and here's the nutty part about it is Jadavian Clowney knows that this is the best spot for him, because he's playing with potential defensive player of the year candidate in Myles Garrett. Because before he came to Cleveland, he was almost getting labeled a bust, right?
Yeah,
He had 3.5 sacks with Seattle. He had an injury-plagued year with Tennessee where he had 0 sacks. Now he had a high pressure rate. You had to dig for a little bit, with that information. But he comes to Cleveland and he just absolutely balls out. So, all the money in the world. So, let's say hypothetically, what's better for Jadeveon? Getting a multi-year deal with some team, but he has to be, defensive end 1, or you give him another year with Myles Garrett and you put some incentives in it. See, I'm just so excited. I'm literally tripping over my own words. But this is absolutely huge. Their pass rush automatically becomes best in the league because you look into it going into December, number 1 and 2 for pressure rate percentage was Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
And the band is back, baby.
Yes.
Drink up.
Yes.
Get your Browns Kool-Aid out. I have gallons in warehouses up Detroit Road from downtown Cleveland all the way to Westlake, baby. This is a playoff defense.
Let's go. That is 100% correct. And I want to echo everything that Mac is saying. And the reason why he's so pumped is because you now have so much to not have to be concerned about moving forward through this offseason continuing, right? I think the number one thing that we were all talking about was this defensive line. We're ecstatic to have Perrion Winfrey. We love Alex Wright. I know. Shout out to Jacob Roach. Jacob Roach is a big Alex Wright guy, so shout out to him. But here's the thing: I would want some type of veteran presence, right? Either we go after Akeem Hicks, like Christian was talking about, but then it's like, man, I want that familiarity as well. Where can we get that experience and familiarity? Where can we get that? Or maybe in a situation that we know that works. It's Jadeveon Clowney, and we were waiting for him. Everyone knows he's on Clowney time, so. My thing is to be able to get him back and to hear that he turned down multiple deals with other teams for more money to come back to Cleveland should give everybody goosebumps because that means he wants to be here. That means he wants to play with Myles Garrett, that he loves the dog pound, that he loves to be here in Cleveland. And that right there says volumes to a guy who we all know loves his money. So that's why I love this so much. It gives me goosebumps, get me fired up. I'm pumped up, juiced up, no caffeine. So that's how I feel about it. Go ahead.
One thing that I noticed, like in some of the reports, was Deshaun Watson actually reached out to Jadeveon Clowney, and he spoke very highly of Cleveland. So I've got to say, that had to be one of the main reasons that he came to Cleveland. He picked Cleveland over all these other teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we also do have one of the most talented rosters in the league, but I do want to say that had to play a big part in that as well. But
I got a couple thoughts to that. First off, Mac, your speech and how you're slurring, that could be a sign of old age. Number two, that Kool-Aid you got, I don't know if you want to be talking about it. The IRS might want to talk about that if you're going to be selling any of that. So you better watch yourself on that. Maybe talk to Jimmy Haslam about that one. But I will say one thing. I do want to echo, what your passion, Mac. It's as much as I, go after you. You are absolutely correct. You should have ripped that steering wheel off, and you should have been happy as heck because the Cleveland Browns got somebody that's going to solidify that defensive line. All we heard was, you get Deshaun Watson, and you think Clevelanders would be happy you got a franchise quarterback. But then you got the faction of people saying, but what about the defensive line? And Mac, to your point, you're absolutely right. They got a stud, with Perrion Winfrey. They got Alex Wright, and they got the guy that's going to hold it together with Jadeveon Clowney because we always knew Myles Garrett was the guy that's going to, get his numbers and be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate every year. That's never going to change. But it's the guys around him that really make it. And if you're Joe Woods, you got to be the happiest man in Cleveland because, having, now you can worry about the linebackers. Now I get to hear about the linebackers. So I guess that'll be fun.
That's going to pop up linebacker.
And then we got all these safeties that can play linebacker. So I'm happy as heck.
I mean, Joe Woods is ecstatic for two reasons. And I want to correct myself earlier. I said 27 pressures. He actually had 32.
So you're getting old. You're getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting forgetful in my old age. I literally have my page right in front of me. You can read it.
Yeah.
But so it's not only the pass rush, because obviously, 4-on-5, Myles is going to get double teamed. Somebody's got to win the one-on-one matchup, and Jadeveon Clowney, he can do that. Yeah. Now, what's even bigger is that the fact, so down the line, I've said this stat like a million times, so forgive me for saying the 1 millionth and one time here. But after week 9 of the Bengals, the Browns surrendered up to it was 130 rushing yards per game, and now you bring back a defensive end that can not only rush the passer. Of course, you can find pass rushers in free agency. A lot of them got paid this year, but do you have a guy that can not only do that but also set the line of scrimmage? A guy with 11 tackles for loss, a guy that was able to chase down a guy like Tyreek Hill doing a jet sweep, across the formation. So you add that element of speed to this defense as well. So it's going to be awfully tough to run the ball on the edge on this defense now that you have Clowney back.
Can I ask a question for everyone, for the panel?
Absolutely.
Is this the best defensive line in the National Football League out of all 32 teams? Is there somebody that comes to mind that might be able to challenge? We don't even exactly know what we got in Perion Winfrey yet. But what if he really succeeds with having Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett? What if he buds out into somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, so is there some? I mean, the first person that comes to mind is the LA Rams, because is it Aaron Donald? But then again, Aaron Donald is like, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think obviously you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to my wife who's sitting over there, but shout out, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. But like, I think, in my personal opinion, if it's not the best, it's one of the best. And if you add Ndamukong Suh, I'm not going to try to bring that out here or anything and bring up. I do believe it's a no shot. It's the best. It's the best defensive line of football. But what do you guys think? Is it high up there, or is it, are there any other teams that might come into mind that I'm forgetting about that has a great pass rush?
I mean,
maybe Baltimore, Philadelphia with
yeah. Well, I would probably mention one of the first teams that I would mention would be the Raiders. Chandler Jones, and now you have Max Crosby.
Yeah.
So they're pretty great. Where did Zedaria Smith end up going?
Minnesota. So you have now him and my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Daniel Hunter, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Daniel Hunter.
So,
yeah.
So you have those, but it's the thing is that there's just so much speed and power at these two defensive end positions, and with the combinations that they have, it makes it extremely easy on the rest of the defensive line. So, with how well they get like deep in the line of scrimmage, meaning like past these like offensive tackles, 9 times out of 10, a quarterback has to step up in the pocket. Right. So you saw that a lot, actually. A better example would be with another team. So look at a guy like Larry Ogunjobi. He got, I want to say, like 7 sacks last year. And you look at the tape, he's not even penetrating the line of scrimmage because he has Sam Hubbard and Trey Henderson on the other side, to where they're beating these offensive tackles. They're getting into the backfield. The quarterback steps up in the pocket, but instead of picking a gap, Larry's just sitting there on the line of scrimmage, waiting for him to step, because
big meaty guy. He's a big meaty guy on the line.
Exactly. So, it makes things a lot easier on a guy like Perion Winfrey. It makes things a lot easier on a guy, with Jordan Elliott. So it takes a little bit of pressure off this defensive tackle room. And instead of kind of making it like, it's huge. Like it's almost the boost that this provides to the defense is almost just unexplainable, because it takes something to where you're almost looking at this roster before Jadeveon Clowney signed yesterday is very worrisome, and it has a lot of holes. And when you face teams like the Chargers, the Pats, Tampa Bay, even though they have Tom Brady, they still like to run the ball. So, it's not so much of a liability, and it also turns into a strength, because this team is banking on their opponents coming from behind and passing more than the average team to play catch up, because they have such a dynamic offense on the other side of the ball. So, it just transcends this roster, and I can actually say now that they have a playoff defense. That's how big this thing is.
Go ahead, Christian or Ed, or
well, I like to
ask
just
a question.
I want to be nice to Matt because it's his birthday, and he said a lot of things that are right. But I gotta say, when you say comments like when you look at this roster before Jadeveon Clowney, there's a lot of holes. No, there's not. I mean, obviously, there's not every team is perfect, and we're always going to talk about the defensive line. But I think that now we can finally say they've satisfied that to max, levels of expectations and excellence. So I'm glad we got there. But when you got two number one former picks on the D line.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. Okay, and then what I like about it is, you got Taven Bryan, you got Togiai, you just got a bunch of guys you could say. But I think and Winovich, and I don't think they're just guys. I think they're guys that put under the right circumstances, they're going to be dogs. They're going to be dogs, and then they're going to be fresh in the fourth quarter to Mac's point, because I think a lot of teams will be coming from behind, because I do think that the offense is going to be clicking. And when you have a franchise quarterback like Deshaun Watson, I would like to think more times out of not that we're going to be having a lead at some point in the fourth quarter. That's what you expect when you have a team as good as we are. And so I think that's going to play into what Mac was saying, where the quarterback's going to step up, and then those dogs, Perrion Winfrey, David Bryant, they're going to be sitting there like they're going to get 3 or 4 sacks just by being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think this D line is definitely a top 7, just to put it into.
Yeah, I got to look at it after the podcast.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the year, we could say they could be number 1.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They could
for
be
sure. Healthy, barring some health. Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead, Christian. I have one last question about Jadeveon, but go ahead.
But okay, so our defensive end room, I think it's the best in the league, like just defensive ends.
Yeah, I'm hard pressed to argue with that. I really am. I mean, we could have whatever viewers, listeners chime in, because I can't find another better defensive end room in the NFL.
Two number one.
I really can't.
Yeah,
I really
two
can't.
number ones, and then like your third option is Chase Winovich, who's had 5.5 sacks the last 3 years, and then you've got the young buck Alex Wright, who was one of the highest rated edges coming out of college.
Well, athletically, he's built like Clowney.
So he's going to learn a lot from Clowney.
What an opportunity for Alex Wright.
And then
go ahead.
And then we've got some packages where we could throw Clowney in the middle, like on third down, third and long. So you've got 3 edge rushers, 3 elite.
Taven Bryant, you can get very creative.
Yeah, and then you're rushing those guys, and then they're throwing against Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, and that lockdown secondary we got now.
And you don't have to blitz.
That's the key, Mac.
You can generate pressure up front with 4 defensive line. I mean, ask the New York Giants how that works. That's the. I mean, ask the Tampa Bay Bucks. Ask the LA Rams. When you can generate pressure with just your front 4, you have an automatic advantage over your opponent.
Well, you go back to the Tampa Bay Super Bowl when they were just rushing 4 most of that game against Kansas City, and they were making Patty Mahomes run for his life the entire game.
Question in their offensive line all season.
I mean, he had some like magic going on in the Super Bowl a little bit, getting some passes downfield. But like, if that was any other quarterback, they'd have been dead by the second quarter.
Absolutely.
I gotta give love to my Buckeyes. Now I know the Kentucky Wildcats took out my tennis Buckeyes over the weekend. So Matt, I mean, Christian, you got one up on me. But speaking of defensive lines, I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to not having to blitz. My 2002 national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, when they defeated Miami, when they had that great team, if they would have had a blitz, they would have got crushed. But because that front 4 could get pressure on Dorsey and interrupt and stop what they were doing, that's like the Rams when the Patriots beat them in the Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf. If you don't get pressure from the front 4 and you're always having to blitz, eventually even a bad quarterback is gonna take advantage of that. Yeah, so definitely I like this defensive line.
Break it down in simple math here. You have to have 5 guys blocking up front. Your quarterback, that's 6. Versus the other side of the ball, you're putting pressure with 4, and now you're covering with 7. So
strength in numbers.
7 for 6. You can, So
Denzel Ward's happy.
Absolutely.
Greg Newsom's happy. You know what I mean? Granted, my question about the contract for Jadeveon, and I'm so happy he's back. I'm so happy he's back, and I hate to just jump to the future, right? You know what I mean? I just love Jadeveon so much. But I just brought to my mind right now, and I had to ask you guys, for the 1-year deal, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean he wants to do another 1-year deal? Does that mean is it kind of like a trial and error kind of thing? Do you think
he wants to get paid?
Yeah.
Because so here's the thing, and just like a lot of contracts in the NFL, they're heavily incentivized. Like they do like pressures, sacks, tackles, those kind of things, and it adds up over time. It's kind of almost like a salesman making commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Clowney was to get locked into a multi-year deal with another team where he has to be pass rusher number 1, obviously he's not going to have that productivity. Now, if he does a 1-year, $11 million like he's doing right now with Myles Garrett, he gets those one-on-one matchups. You're telling me that you're not going to double Myles Garrett every single play? I mean, you're going to have to, or you're going to have a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Clowney's going to end up making more money in the long run because, of course, he makes the $11 million per year, and he could make a little bit more with those incentives. So he could be making that 14-15 a year that he wanted to do. But if he has that good year, he's going to get paid in free agency, whether that's by Cleveland, whether that's by another team.
Yeah.
So in the long run, in this situation, playing with Myles Garrett for another year, he's just going to just put more good tape out there and better stats. And he's going to provide an argument that says, hey, I deserve to get paid. So he's making more money
doing this.
Yeah.
Manny, do you want a sexy clip? Do you want?
I do.
I'm going to tell you, this is a hot take right here, and I'm probably going to clip it and make a promo out of this because this is so sexy and hot. But you know what, Manny, when you talk about the Jadeveon Clowney 1-year deal thing, you know why I'm not worried about it? You know why I'm not worried about it? Because usually players re-sign when they win the Super Bowl. So I'm not too worried about it.
Get it. That's
call Super
Bowl.
And you can clip that. You can clip that. I'll make a promo out of it. All the hot takes and the takes that went cold or went bad, you guys can hit me up. A year from now, all the haters of Ed and Club, that's fine. But that's a hot take, and I believe my Cleveland Browns, and I like what they did with Jadeveon Clowney. And how can you not like this team? Tell me a position, offense or defense, that they're not better than most teams. Really, go down the list.
There's only like 2. I mean,
maybe linebacker, but again, it's just that's it. If somebody wants to make an argument, it's linebacker room. That's it.
But even in this 4-2-5, where they use a safety as a linebacker half the time, so you can't even use that argument because it's like you have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, which was one of the best graded linebackers in all of football last year, not just for rookies. And you're providing that 3 safety look where you're putting a guy like Grant Delpit or Harrison.
Ronnie Harrison.
Ronnie Harrison in the box as a linebacker there. So, it's harder to sit there and just say, hey, where's the hole here?
I don't think there is. I really don't think that there is any. And honestly, to your point, Ed, I do believe that it's going to be. I called it already in my head. I haven't said it out loud verbally, but this is no place better than to say it on down with the Browns. Browns versus Buccaneers. Tom Brady's been to the Super Bowl every other year since 2015. And he's won the Super Bowl every year since 2015. Every other year since 2015. So 2023 is his year to go to the Super Bowl with the Bucs. I do believe they'll be there and they'll be playing the Browns. So
we'll have a Super Bowl preview in Cleveland when the Bucs come to Cleveland.
Oh yeah, exactly. So get your popcorn ready there. Shout out to Rollins.
Popcorn's ready, bro. It's already popped. Let's get it. We're going to the Super Bowl. That's how it is. We get it. Okay, we're gonna transition into this. This is where I was gonna get ready to go. Are you fine with the current defensive tackle room? I am not. I think we need one more veteran edge. I think that you could entice an Ndamukong Suh or Akeem Hicks. You just look at them, you go, look at the team. Look what we've got built in Cleveland now. This isn't the Browns from 2017. This isn't the Browns from 2016. This isn't the 0-16, 1-15. This is the Super Bowl contending Cleveland Browns. And if you want a part of a Super Bowl contending team, you come to Cleveland. Let's win it. Be the best Super Bowl ring you could ever have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's hot.
Do you think that there'll be? Sorry, I have so many questions. I should be answering the question, but do you think they'll be saying that the Cleveland Browns are just doing a super team, like bringing together a super team? They're not, what I mean, it's not the original Browns, or what do you say to those complaints to those people in the Twitter world who say if you get Ndamukong Suh, it's a super team?
Well, I mean, if
you're poor and you don't have the cap space, let's be honest.
exactly,
You're not the money, yo. There's broke people around.
Exactly.
You look at the Browns.
Start fanning yourself out with some money here. Why
Yeah.
don't you ask the Rams GM how he feels about that? When
Yeah,
he pretty much bought himself a Super Bowl.
Well, it's not even that. The superstars of the team, the Browns have drafted. Nick Chubb, drafted by the Browns. Myles Garrett, drafted by the Browns. Denzel Ward, drafted by the Browns. I mean, you've got a few guys that are prominent players like Jadeveon, Amari Cooper, Deshaun.
Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, you should have drafted Deshaun, but you wouldn't have had Denzel, though. That's the only knock. But, we still robbed the Texans for Deshaun.
Yeah, we'll take him. We'll take him. So, but go ahead, Ed. How do you feel about the current?
I'm with Christian on it. Would I like to add another veteran presence? Obviously. But you know what? I'm not in a rush anymore because I got Clowney. I feel like if this is the squad we're going to roll with on opening week, okay. But, injuries happen. You pick up a guy here. Maybe Togiai develops, maybe it's not right away, but maybe by weeks 2 or 3 that he gets out. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? By playing sporadically, getting more and more snaps as the season goes along and stuff like that. Because, like I said, I think there's got to be a lot of rotation on the defensive line, which I love that. I love fresh bodies. I love, you know what I'm saying, in the fourth quarter when you can send the dogs. And like I said, you don't even have to blitz to send them. Because look at Perion Winfrey. Do you think that guy ever gets tired?
No. I don't think he'll have any problem with tired. And before Mac goes, I want Mac to end it off here. But for me, the question is, are you fine with the current DT room? Not that are you feel great about it. I'm perfectly fine. Yeah. Because my thing is, I feel like there's a lot of guys in that D tackle room that are young and need to prove themselves, right? Mm-hmm. What a better time to prove themselves.
Dogs.
When you got Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, you have your opportunity where saying, you can go into every game saying, hey, they're going to concentrate on those two guys on the edges. Let me just try to do my job, maybe deal with one guy, maybe even practice some moves mid-game. You know what I mean? Try to work it up. So my thing is, you got the Perion Winfrey, Tommy Togiai, Jordan Elliott, all the needs, Taven Bryant, depending on how they use him. But there's a lot of guys that can come into this situation and say, hey, let me prove something. So for me, I am fine with the D tackle room. Would I like an Ndamukong Suh? Would I like an Akeem Hicks? Of course. Who wouldn't want a Corvette if they got a Lamborghini, right? So my thing is I like those guys, except riding dirty, but except super gremlin defensive line. That's what we are now. But except I think that I'm fine with them, being presently constructed. If you add another piece, I mean, the rich get richer. So go ahead, Mac.
So I'm nervous. Oh, thank you, Summer, for the birthday wish.
Shout out to Summer. Happy birthday.
Thank you for that. No, but I'm nervous because this D tackle room is a mystery box. Absolutely. You have zero idea what you're going to get because let's just run through it here real quick, shall we? Jordan Elliott, this is going to be his 3rd year. He's been having weight issues. We really don't know about him. Now he's flashed. He got a forced fumble his rookie year against the Eagles. Played very well in that Tennessee game where they shut Derrick Henry down. Last year he played pretty solid. Messed up Pittsburgh's kicker pretty good. So
shout out Chris Boswell.
Now you got a guy like Taven Bryant who has sat and wasted. I would say probably wasted 3 years in Jacksonville because he didn't start really much games, and he was a pass rushing guy and he was productive, right? But can you really trust him against
Andrew Berry does?
So and here's the thing, and then you got a guy like Tommy Togiai who had limited snaps last year. He's very good and he has a solid base, but he's not too good against rushing the passer. So it's just a bunch of guys that are you just don't know. Now, I will say this. The silver lining here is, again, they're not asking this defensive tackle room to do much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, am I going to be scared when it's a team that runs the ball like the Patriots? And am I scared that it's going to be, kind of, now I wouldn't say that it would be like 45-7 because I would hope the offense could score more points, an elite quarterback and an elite run game, but against teams that can run the ball, absolutely concerned, but they can get away with this D tackle room as long as the other offense is behind their game plan. Now, first, second down, when you know a team can still run the ball and they don't have to throw the ball all over the yard to get back into it. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but they can get away with it. So, like, and I hate to give this kind of halfway answer, but I'm nervous. I have zero clue what is to come to this.
Which team in the NFL, Mac? This isn't like 1980s anymore. I look at the schedule. Not a lot of teams ground and pounded up the middle. They're doing what we're doing. Like you look at the elite teams like Kansas City, the Chargers, even Buffalo. I mean, maybe Buffalo decides that we're just going to
Buffalo. They got one of the Cook brothers, and they finally have a run game, and they don't have to run to show.
Oh, they're still throwing the football. They're still throwing the football, man. Yeah. Come on now.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're gonna run. They're gonna run.
They're gonna run a little bit more. They're gonna run a little bit more.
But yeah,
what I started noticing, I've just thought about this. Ed said this earlier, but if you notice, all the defensive tackles are great pass rushers. And what do teams do when they're down? They pass more.
The football.
So Andrew Berry is thinking, we've got the guy on offense who can score more. He's what, all-time, what is it? He said like all-time completion or something like that? Like he's the highest all-time?
And what?
Deshaun Watson. What is it?
He's close to 70%. Baker was what, 63, 64?
It's something like he's like one of the highest in whatever it is passing. I can't remember the exact stat.
He's great. He's great.
Yeah, he's great. He's the MJ on turf.
I'll look it up.
That's right.
So they're getting all these pass rushing D tackles so you can pass rush when the teams are passing when they're down. So,
and with this secondary, and that's the brilliant part about this is because Andrew Berry looked at it and he said, okay, what is more valuable on this defense? Because you can't pay everybody. You wish you could, but you just can't, especially when you have an elite quarterback that you need to pay a little bit more money to. Look at any roster in the NFL. None is 100% complete. They're always going to have a hole here and there. So he looked at it and he said, okay, what is the priority here? We're going to do 2 stellar defensive ends and then a secondary that's absolutely lights out. So, I'm nervous, but they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what these guys can do.
Well, hopefully your steering wheel will stay on your car.
I mean, it has to. I was talking to people the other day about how expensive a car is nowadays. Yeah, I can't afford that.
Yeah, no. Keep it on.
And
I'm speaking of Impala till it runs into the ground, and then I'm going to push it into Lake Erie.
And speaking of ripping off a steering wheel, how about ripping the top of a secondary off? And the Browns signing Will Fuller. Like they've not signed him yet, but potentially getting Will Fuller. Talked about this before, but starting to pick up a little traction.
Healthy. That's my thing. Because
go ahead, back. You're going to take my.
When he's and sorry, I didn't mean to just like jump.
No. Please do. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
I'm going to channel my inner Ed, and I'm going to be as selfish as possible, and I'm going to take all the spotlight, and I'm just going to aim it right at me.
This is the Mac show.
No, I'm kidding. But so Will Fuller when he's on the team, wow, this is like really like
yeah.
But when he's on the field, he had the best deep threat connection in the NFL with Deshaun Watson. Now the problem is the injuries. Can he stay healthy? The problem is last time that he played, he got suspended because he was on performance enhancing drugs to stay healthy. So it's like, what's his availability? But if he can give you at least 10 games, I'm all for it. Absolutely. Because the Browns are still missing that deep threat in their wide receiver room. And you guys know how I feel about Anthony Schwartz. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Fuller, are you healthy? Can you pee clean? Let's do it.
And, availability is the best ability, right? And I think that if you have a guy like Will Fuller, just like what Max said, if he can give you 10 games, he already knows Deshaun. Deshaun is handpicked. Right? Will Fuller would be handpicked by Deshaun is what I meant to say. So if you get that kind of like, okay, I went to the Bahamas with this offense, but at the same time you bring in a guy who doesn't need to go to the Bahamas because I already know you and Will Fuller, it's like, man, oh man, now we're cooking with gasoline. Not that we weren't before, but you add in Jadeveon Clowney, and then if you add Will Fuller later in the week or next week, I can't. This will be on paper one of the best Cleveland Browns rosters in very long time.
It's probably going back to like Otto Graham good.
Like I can't. Surely we have never seen it, so it would be insane. It would be.
You bring your H-Town boy to Cleveland. Bring your H-Town boy to Cleveland.
Bring him on.
We got a problem. It's the Cleveland Browns, and we're launching.
And you make this wide receiver room fuller.
What did you say?
Crickets.
Sorry, I was trying to be like Ed.
It makes the
dad
deep
jokes.
fuller.
See, it's not fair because you're the one that controls all the sounds, and then you boo me and you play that SpongeBob meme. There's oh brother, he stinks. that stunk.
Chris, I can laugh.
This guy stinks.
Ed was laughing. Yeah. Ed was laughing.
I didn't. The only reason I would have laughed more, but it wasn't my joke because it's really good. That was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, cry, Analytics boy, cry.
I think. Listen. That would really round out a Will Fuller acquisition. Would really round out that wide receiver.
Well, I mean it opens up the field more for DPJ. It opens up the field more for David Bell, and we're excited to see what DPJ does. We think he's going to break out this year.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure everybody.
I want Anthony Schwartz to do the same.
Just look at it. Amari Cooper's going to draw the double teams, so you already have to have one guy sitting back there, and you're telling me you're going to have a single high safety while you have Amari Cooper and Will Fuller on the field at the same time. You're not going to be able to bring somebody up into the box. So it would be a game changer for this offense.
And if Watson plays all 17,
and then we're not even counting in the factor of Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt is
not even counting that in there either.
He's everything. Kareem Hunt, that's a really good point.
Like I said, open up the warehouses, man.
Man, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt on the field.
Gallons of
I could run through a wall right now. We're going to the Super Bowl, and if we don't, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might cry.
Wow.
Anyways.
Wow.
Nah, last year already broke me. I'm fine.
Last year I was hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, no, that was terrible.
Yeah. COVID and injuries, but
we have a new field general though.
And speaking of our old field general, let's talk a little bit about 6 news.
Action 6.
It was a little interesting, right? Little tiny breadcrumbs.
I mean, did you see his road trip?
He did a little road trip to a brewery outside of Seattle.
Emily Mayfield posted her to her Instagram. Check her Instagram out.
This is interesting because last time I checked, neither one of them are from Seattle. Maybe they got some family out there. Maybe
who road trips to Seattle?
Maybe people really
Seattle. Who road trips to Seattle, man? You're there for a business or a family trip, or a little bit of both. A little bit of both. You know what I mean?
I just hope he doesn't take a picture next to that Space Needle because I don't want
that visual would be.
Yeah,
they'd go from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of Dome if he's their quarterback.
Wow.
With Tyler Lockett and DK though, that would be heck of a. And they just drafted Kenneth Walker too.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
You put that together with Rashad Penny, who has actually had. He's top 3, I believe, in the NFL in terms of
very great fantasy year.
Yeah. That chart where everybody said like, "Hey, look at Nick Chubb." Yeah, Rashard Penny was either like a spot or 2 down from Nick Chubb in terms of percentage of big plays. So he could definitely do something there in Seattle. Now the question
is O-line though. That O-line is garbage.
That's
why Russ wanted out. They've not addressed the O-line in like 15 years. They're like, we won a Super Bowl back in 2012. Well, let's just keep throwing out bums. Like, that's just how they were.
I just find it funny. Pete Carroll's an old school dude, and he just hates offensive linemen for whatever reason.
They drafted number 9 overall. They got Charles Cross from Mississippi State, though, offensive tackle. So they kind of,
they've addressed it a little bit. But, Baker had one of the best offensive lines. And he's still.
That's true.
Well, Baker was taken number 1 overall, and that's the thing. You know what? He's been in the league 5. This will be going into his 5th year. If he wants to prove himself, you go to Seattle. You start there, and yes, maybe the offensive line, but Baker.
You'll be healthier. You'll be healthier.
Show that you're nimble and you can get outside the pocket and still throw and do the things that you were successful with in Cleveland, and maybe you resurrect yourself. As much as I'm glad we got Deshaun, I bang on Baker a lot. And I know people, whatever. At the same time, look, he still wore the uniform of the Cleveland Browns. He still took us to the playoffs. So I'll show him some respect in the fact that he's still above average quarterback. I've always said
he's not bad. He is not a bad quarterback.
He's good enough to get you.
Average.
Yes,
he's good enough to get you to the playoffs.
Yes,
I don't think he's good enough to get you to the promised land.
And the Browns obviously thought the same thing.
Yeah, and I will say, so there's some rumors that are floating around in the Twitterverse that the Browns are willing to eat some of his contract. So, boys, what do you think?
Not just a rumor
that means.
That's
that's not just a rumor. It was confirmed. Monday Morning Quarterback Albert Breer. That the Browns are willing to eat a significant amount of salary. And here's the thing.
Quote significant. What's significant? How much is 13. Significant, do you think? How much is significant?
There's the question. So you look at it, right? And I did a little research because I believe like a couple weeks ago, because the number for cap space right now is not like for 2022, that's not what we should be looking at. Cap space for 2023, because that's what Andrew Berry is looking at right now. Checked Spot Track, checked. I forget what the other site is called, but they're over 20 million. Now, granted, that's before the rollover, because if you have leftover cap, it rolls over in the next season. That's after that's before the restructures. And can they work around it? Of course, but they're looking for every bit and piece that they can, because every million or so is where'd Manny go? He was dropped out of nowhere. Oh,
we were trying to keep that kind of silent, man.
I should have. You should have said he would take out the garbage or something, man.
He's on assignment.
Yeah, he's on assignment.
But yeah, no, it's they just need to just like get out. Well, like I don't know what they're really waiting on now. Granted, they're saying that this is the first time that they've dipped in terms of like their offer on how much they're willing to eat. So, at least there's some traction going here. But the kind of feeling that I've had with this is that, and Andrew Berry, when he's in these negotiations, he does not leave any slack whatsoever. He has a number. You don't have that number? Cool. I'm not going to do this, because he's already extended Denzel Ward. They have David Njoku, on the table there, and they're trying to get a long deal done with him. So they need every bit and piece of these millions that they can. So just take what you can before it is too late, because there's going to be at some point in time, and unless there's a miracle. Now, I hate to use the word miracle and injury in the same sentence, because that's terrible. I don't really want to, I'm not asking for anybody to get injured.
You're a nice guy, Mac. You're a nice guy, Mac. You're a nice guy.
Right?
Wow.
That's almost what they were waiting for, because they were waiting for a team to get desperate, and they were waiting for a team to, take them off their hands and eat that 24, like that full 18.6 million. So just take the best deal that you can and get as much money as you can back, because it's not even about the draft picks anymore. It's about the money.
Yeah. And, I saw reports about how Geno Smith was outplaying Drew Lock in Seattle practices.
Of course he was.
How true that is. I mean, if Geno Smith is outplaying Drew Lock, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And they're going to be desperate for a quarterback this year, unless they're just trying to flat out go like 1-16, 2-15 this year.
I want to say something real quick about Mac's point about the when you said Andrew Berry has a number. Man, I think you're absolutely right. I think, but I also think there's a time period element too. I think as we get closer, don't you think Mr. Haslam could have told Andrew Berry, like, look, I'm only willing to eat this much of his contract, but as the time has gone by, he's probably thinking, I just want to move on. So maybe he'll tell Andrew Berry, if it's past June or whatever like that, when the Hooper money and things like that and things like that, he'll say, hey, look, well, maybe we'll give $3 million more, and it'll be, you know what I'm saying? So maybe the time, because the time, we all learn in economics 101, the time period of money here. So and I think also too, I think that has some, and Browns fans, as well, we kind of do just want to move on, and I think it makes the organization look bad. It's the longer Baker Mayfield is on the Browns, and people could, then the narrative could be like, Baker's ready to move on. Baker's ready to go to the Browns. Baker's ready to, and we're kind of just, we're worried about an extra $3 million. I mean, you already gave Odell kind of a, we did him a favor, and I think you kind of owe Baker a favor too. As much as I kind of, I love to whatever with him.
It's easy.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be man to man. You got to do the right thing. Baker's got a right to move on to another team. If you're haggling over $3 million for a guy that's worth, close to $5 billion after his sale of Pilot Flying J to, eventually 80%. I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
That's very true. And just to go a little bit back off of Mac's point, I think that honestly, especially with what Christian said with Geno Smith and Drew Lock, I think as time moves on, it might not even need to be an injury. Maybe it could just be in camp. People are visually seeing a lot of the quarterbacks they brought in. It's just not it. Like, what if Carolina all of a sudden Matt Corral they bring him in rookie mini camp, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we actually don't like this guy. And then we got Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? So
we don't like that guy.
We really don't like that guy. So it's almost like. Go ahead, Christian. What do you?
Honestly, if you think about it, the perfect mentor for a Matt Corral would be Baker Mayfield. They're pretty much like copy 1, copy 2, except I think Baker had like a bigger attitude. Their play styles are so similar.
A little bit more arm strength.
Yeah. And Baker, I feel like Baker in college.
Well, yeah, he was better in college, but I'm saying like they had that same. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
So like, I mean, he'd be like the perfect mentor for the guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Baker goes out, he balls out, he goes into free agency next year, gets his contract that he wants, he moves on. And then Matt Corral steps right in for the Panthers, so it's like a win-win for them.
I just on the spot. I'm sorry. I just on the spot forgot. What is the downside for a team who would not want to eat his contract? Because I know one of it's like, I don't want to bring you on, and then you're horrible for 1 year, and then I paid you $18 million. But what's the downside if he's really great? He's a free agent, and then he's
well, you got to pay him.
You got to pay him, but also there's teams out there. Here's the problem I think we're overlooking as well. If you're a team, okay, and you bring in Baker, like you said, Christian, that Baker's only so good and they can lead you to the playoffs or whatever like that. But if you're a team like that, really, you're looking at the quarterback class coming out next year, you're thinking, why don't I just tank this year? Why bring in Baker to win an extra 3 to 4
meaningless games? I've been saying that over and over. If you're a team like Seattle, why on earth? And I could get CJ Stroud for 4 years for the rookie minute. Like, look, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you look at a guy like Matt Rule, and he's on the hot seat.
Well, you've got.
So there's some coaches that don't have another year, but you make a good point there because again, you have Bryce from Alabama, you have CJ Stroud. So, you have
Will Levis,
and then Spencer Rattler. He could ball out.
Spencer Rattler could ball out.
That's going to be an interesting.
South Carolina.
That's going to be an interesting situation, I think.
Yeah.
Spencer and South Carolina.
Wait,
and then
can Caleb Williams go?
Yep.
Can Caleb Williams go? Yeah, he's in his second year. He's eligible.
I mean, that's 5 quarterbacks right
at
there.
USC. If UFC goes crazy, Caleb
I saw
Williams
mock draft has 6 going in the first round, like CBS's or something.
So,
it's going to be another year like it was like last year with the Trevor Lawrence situation. But that was 5.
That was insane.
So I mean, it could happen, and that's the point. There is like why there's so many moving pieces because then again, it's like if a quarterback gets injured on one of these teams that are during the season, God forbid they get injured, what team would want to even bring in Baker Mayfield to if God forbid the LA Chargers get Justin Herbert gets injured and is out for the season, would the Chargers want to bring in Baker Mayfield to potentially bring them to for 1 year? Do you trust Baker Mayfield to bring?
Just get a better draft pick.
Exactly. Exactly. If I were the Chargers, I would just get a better draft pick. I wouldn't bring Baker in to try to salvage my season.
Win a couple meaningless games.
Exactly. What kind of team would even need that? You know what I mean? So, Brandon, great question. Freddie Kitchens got hired at South Carolina. Don't forget. He did get. So. That would be really interesting to see Freddie Kitchens. Shout out Freddie Kitchens.
Baker going South Carolina.
Still not drawing up plays with crayon.
He's got the Deanies menu.
The crayons you get from IHOP.
I mean, he wasn't putting game plans together, guys. Come on. I mean,
we're not going to go down that path. It's long gone.
It was just
great.
Not a good offensive coordinator, and I'm sorry, but I just needed to say something. I can't
you can't allow that to
go
through.
Friend of mine. Okay, I like Brand. Brand's a good dude, and he supports me a lot with my stuff, and he supports his podcast.
He's a huge fan of the
podcast.
I love seeing him pop up in the mentions.
Shout out to Brandon. But that's the. Do you see the point there? Like, what team in the NFL would want Baker to come in, and it would have to be for like 4 games or something. It'd have to be a very good bona fide playoff team that if you had comparable quarterback play and your quarterback was injured for only 4 weeks, it would have to be a situation like the Tampa Bay, or I'm just bringing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I know you would think they would go to the playoffs. Like guaranteed in the NFC, which is weaker, would go to the playoffs, and Tom Brady, God forbid, is hurt for 4 weeks. You would have to bring it. Man, I'm rushing around. I need somebody. Plug and chug Baker Mayfield, 4-week little whatever. If 4-week trial period. If he does well, you're still in playoff contention. If he does poorly, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know where he would go if a quarterback were to be injured, right? I don't know what situation that would look like.
Well,
yes, yeah. See, I don't know about injured, but it's just for me, this kind like Baker situation is perfect for, and I just said it a couple of minutes ago, for a coach on the hot seat. Now, granted, I don't know if they would look at Carolina's roster and be like, okay, they're just a quarterback away. Because, I mean, is Christian McCaffrey going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
He's played like 4 games in 2 years.
They were 3-0 when he was healthy.
But then he pulled his hamstring on tear. He wasn't even touched. And it's just like, so you have that. But when you look at Seattle, when was the last time they won a playoff game? They missed the playoffs last year.
2015, I think, maybe.
Pete Carroll's chewing through like 15 packs of gum per day, and somebody's got to be upset with him because, they had their franchise guy, and let's be honest, they fumbled it. With a quarterback like Russell Wilson, and all you have is one good year.
Do you want a crazy stat about making playoffs? Now we talk about Seattle, but I could see a team like, why not Detroit? If they, I know they got, but here's the thing. Detroit is the team that's not won a playoff game. It was like 1991. But did you know that before 1991, it was 1957 since Detroit? So the Lions have only won 2 playoff games since 1957, and that is just astonishing.
Huh?
So I could see Baker going there.
That's a real stat. So like, I'm a big stat guy, and like that's it's
almost impossible.
That's crazy.
Hold up.
1957.
So me, Mac, and Manny, we have the same amount of playoff wins as the Detroit Lions since 1992.
Wow.
That is correct.
Wow.
That's like
we weren't even born.
So you're saying
I thought it was hard being a Browns fan. My God,
being a Detroit Lions fan is rough. I gotta admit that's rough. They talk about the Browns, but they really got it. But and they are, and the Detroit Lions went 0-16. I don't know why no one talks about them enough. So to that point, if Baker by the way, we got to shout out to Jared Goff's contract because he is racking in the bank money. I think it's $20+ million a season.
Yeah,
he's racking it in.
Good when you get paid that good.
Exactly.
Count your checks, Brody. Go home.
Right. You really have. You really could.
Get
what are you crying in your giant mansion?
Yeah. He'll be fine. Jared Goff will be fine. Okay. So, but then you bring in a situation. So Baker could go to Detroit, which I don't think there's just. I feel like there's not enough noise there. I know there's been some sprinkles about New York Giants because they don't trust Daniel Jones, and they did not give him his team option over there in New York. So that could potentially be a landing spot, but Baker in New York media, who knows?
Yeah. Oh God, that'd be crap.
That'd be awesome.
So, but to your point, Ed, Detroit might be an option. Detroit might be an option.
Well,
my sleeper team. The Lions sleep tonight. That's my sleep.
And speaking of cashing in checks, we got a guy that could possibly be cashing in a check. David Njoku. Rumors are that they're gonna extend him for multiple years at $13+ million a year. How do you guys feel about that?
I like that. I personally like David Njoku. I love David Njoku. I think it's just, I don't know what it is about David Njoku, but I think we've seen so many like flashes that we all can remember. And my favorite was just that LA Chargers game when he's running down. He is fast for his size. When I saw him in open field, my goodness, he's fast. So I like David Njoku a lot. I think that he loves Cleveland, right? He was disgruntled last offseason, but came back and showed out, balled out in place of a missing MIA Austin Hooper. But So I really like him. I trust him with that money. I know that he will produce, and I know that he loves Cleveland. And it'll be interesting to see exactly how he pans out this season. I think that it's going to be a great season for him. He's making the average amount of money for top 5 tight ends in the league. So it's great to see that. But at the same time, I think that it's time that he does get his extension. A lot of people were talking about it this offseason. I want to see him on the Browns, and I'm going to be interested to see how he plays this season with Deshaun. So I believe that he'll go crazy as well. We forgot to mention him and some of the people to throw to besides Hunt. He's a big target. So
he does like his tight ends. Go back to his days with the Texans. Darren Fells had 7-8 touchdowns with them.
Yeah,
back in 2020. So he does like his tight ends.
He likes his big targets.
David Njoku to me is an enigma. He's an enigma, and here's why. Because if you look at the production, it ain't there. Let's be real. And anybody can do.
All right. I'll let you speak, Ed. But I'm coming for you. I'll let you finish.
The production isn't there. But I will say one thing. The flashes have been there. And I do trust Andrew Berry and what he sees in him. And I think that, you know what? It's like this. Do I think he's deserved or earned $13 million a year? No, but I think his potential is at $13 million per year, and I trust the people that are evaluating him. And I think that there are good things going to happen to the Cleveland Browns because they are re-signing David Njoku. And I'm glad, most teams or most organizations probably would have said $13 million for what he's put up. Nah, man, we can just get Austin Hooper. But Austin Hooper can't do what David Njoku can do.
No, he can't.
Not many men on this planet can do what David Njoku can do. I just want to see more of it, but you got to take a chance with him. You took him in the first round, you traded up for him, and I'm glad to see the Browns organization rewarding hard work. And especially, too, guys, remember this. He had a little conflict. He wanted traded. He did all that.
Yeah.
And it's good to see a guy. And you know what? David Njoku, to me, he's the kind of guy that can recruit players. Deshaun Watson looks like a guy that can recruit players. There's a reason why Jadeveon Clowney re-signed with the Cleveland Browns. And I think people like Njoku are going to be the guys that in the next couple of years that get more of those people to come to Cleveland. So I'm all for the signing, Mac. And go ahead and trash me now.
So the reason why I'm trashing you is that I absolutely love this extension. Lock him up, bring him long term. Now it's going to be on one condition, and that condition is that Andrew Berry calls Kevin Stefanski into his office and has a conversation with him that says, "Get him the damn football."
Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk about production? It's there. You just got to take out your microscope because here's the thing.
I don't want to. I'm watching football.
There was 2 games, Ed, last year to where David Njoku had more than 6 targets. And you know what he did with that? The first game, Kansas City, he had a pretty good game. And everybody remembers that 75-yarder in the LA Chargers game because he averages 9 yards per target. So he's almost a first down before he even catches the football. That's how good he is. And with his size being 6'4", the smaller guys can't cover him because he won states in high jump. The guy can jump out of his shit.
He's a jumper.
You combine that with a guy that in the open field. Now, granted, is his acceleration the best? No, but he's got those long strides, man, and you cannot keep up. He's an absolute stallion in the open field. So I love
it. The red zone, Mac, and the red zone.
Him the football. I don't understand. He's a mismatch nightmare, and to put his athleticism and his upside on the side for Austin Hooper last year, who had 3 yards per catch and would fall down trying to catch a flat route. Are you joking? So. Yeah, I absolutely love this. I love David Njoku. I love getting him I love seeing him run in the open field. He's been doing this whole thing his whole career in Cleveland, and it's almost like he's just running like his hair's on fire, man. It's crazy to see a guy his size run like he does. So yeah, I'd love this, but we got to get this guy the football.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Well, also. We do got to get him the football more. And his sample size, he was ranked number 14 out of all the tight ends on PFF. And what stands out to me is how much he's improved since his rookie year at blocking in the pass.
Yes.
And the rush.
Yes.
That was his biggest
bulldozer.
knock. He's only played 2 because coming into Cleveland, he'd only played football 2-3 years. He hadn't played long, and that was his big knock when the Browns drafted him. And, dude, he could not block to save his life his rookie and sophomore year, barring that he didn't get to play much his second year. But, since Bill Callahan's been in Cleveland, he's improved the blocking of all the tight ends that's been in Cleveland.
Can he teach Jed Wills how to block?
Oh, that's a good one, Ed. I actually like.
No, seriously. Well, yeah, no.
I mean, really,
seriously.
13 million a year. 13 million.
Seriously.
But
Is that
Yeah, what are we gonna do about Jed? That's another segment for another podcast. We need to have
actually make me laugh.
He's 21.
Look,
Or 22, my bad.
I apologize. I tried to control myself.
But going back, speaking of age, David Njoku's only 25.
Yeah.
And he's going to be 6th year. That's nuts.
That means
that's crazy, man.
Yeah. I can't wait. I do believe that he'll be extended. I do believe that he'll flourish, especially with a healthy offense. I think that last year, obviously, can you imagine if with Amari Cooper, if you get Will Fuller, David Njoku is open all day.
David Bell, Will Fuller, Amari Cooper, David Njoku.
Who are you?
Sean Watson.
I can't. I don't even know what. I don't even know. But that's a great point. He's gonna flourish this year. I really do. If this team is healthy, and none of this COVID protocol get him in trouble, because I remember that the Las Vegas Raiders game, just killed us. But like,
they're really sneezing on each other.
Yeah, how did the whole
going on? Nobody wearing gloves? Like
the tight end room, we had no tight ends. I'm like, I didn't. It's something I've never seen before. But my thing, and almost won too. Jeez Louise. But like, I think if this Browns team is healthy, I just ask for help.
You're missing the biggest point. My son told me this, and never forget. When the new Madden comes out, you're gonna want to run with the Browns.
You have to. If they have to bring out a stat of which team is used the most, because I guarantee you, if it can't be the Chiefs anymore, won't be the Chiefs anymore. What are you gonna bomb to Juju Smith-Schuster? No. You're gonna it is going to be the Cleveland Browns, because you can do what you want. Because this time now, it's not like
code.
We're cheat code. You could just scramble around with Deshaun. You know what I mean? You could evade pass pressures with Deshaun. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Jadeveon Clowney's rating is gonna be up.
Miles is a 99 already, isn't he?
Miles is a 99, yeah. But they didn't release the ratings yet. But he
got the chain.
Welcome to the Mighty 99 Club.
Got the gold cleats.
Yeah.
And for our last segment of the podcast, we got Go Dog or Pup. And we're gonna just ask about the guy we just talked about. Is David Njoku a dog or a pup?
He is a dog, and I think that it's time to take off the training leash for David Njoku. It really is time to release him, because if you let that dog go, he is a dog, and I think that my thing for me, if you put him in a situation where he gets a lot of targets, like Mac is saying, it's going to be insane. Fantasy, just like those Ravens fans are saying, Rashad Bateman, pick him up in fantasy. David Njoku, seriously, pick him up in fantasy. Pick him up. Dog. Dog.
This is how I think of him. He's a dog that's put in the cage right now. And we're getting ready to go over there and open the cage up and watch him run.
He's going to go crazy.
He is a Chief dog.
Yeah, shout out, Chief.
Oh.
Clip it and send it to him, man.
I just don't understand. You have this dog. Go ahead and feed him. Feed him.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about in the open field where he's taking something 75 to the house. I'm talking about on the goal line here. Why did they wait until Monday night in Pittsburgh to throw him a jump ball? There's a reason why he won high jump. Okay, the guy can jump out of his seat, and he's 6'4" already. So just throw it up. Who's going to cover him one-on-one? I'd like to know, because linebackers aren't going to be quick enough. Mm-hmm. And then you have most corners, unless they're like
too small,
freakish on the terms of athleticism, they're shorter guys. They're going to be guys that are under 6 foot. So feed him, feed your dog.
Another hot take. I'm going to say he's going to have 8 to 10 Chief slams next year.
Ooh, I like that.
TDs, get him in fantasy. I'm telling you right now, get him in fantasy.
Yep.
I love it. And I think that's a great way to end the episode, boys.
Absolutely.
Oh, my bad. Wait, no, it's not. We've now got apparel.
Yes.
We've got T-shirts. We've got mugs.
Absolutely.
We've got hats. And if you guys want to check that out, it's in our link tree. We're gonna develop a website here pretty soon, so all that'll be on there. But it's been a
It's
great
the
episode.
hottest merch out there. You
Oh,
gotta get it.
I forgot. I've got advertisement.
You got advertisement.
Yeah,
This.
Chris, show them your design.
Yeah.
So for everybody that isn't watching our live and is going to listen to it on the podcast, Christian's wearing a Kentucky Fried Christian shirt. Each 4 of us have our own merch, as well as a Down with the Brown logo out there. Now I will say this: feel free to buy anybody's shirt except for Ed. We have a running bet.
Don't buy Ed's shirt.
Sales. So if you'd like to click on and buy some Buffalo merch, go ahead and do it, man. Support the Buffalo.
If you buy Ed in Columbus merchandise, just DM me. I will send you an autographed copy picture of me to go along with the shirt.
So let's just point this out. So Ed's ego is inflated to the point where it's almost overspilling on his screen.
Confidence, man.
Hold up.
Confidence.
Let's talk about sales here. I actually had somebody other than myself buy my shirt. I can't say the same for.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
So Ed, what are you doing in the picture? Like you're gonna sign? Is it a selfie?
Thumbs up, Ed. With
Look,
thumbs up.
Is it Ed sitting in front of the skyline?
That's between me and the patron of the shirt.
I don't even.
That's a good way to say.
Well,
it.
I need to know before I buy
I
it.
don't even want to know.
Oh,
That's a
you
great
need
way
to.
to
Oh,
say it.
Yeah, I need to know.
I take requests. Hey now.
What a great.
And Ed has an only.
Hey now, yeah.
That's a great way.
It's gonna be Ed in an extremely provocative photo, and it's just gonna say, "Dear,
I love the
Love
fans. I'll do
Ed.
what, you know, Mac. I love this show. I love you guys. Happy birthday, Mac. But I'll do
Happy
whatever
birthday,
it takes because Down with the Browns is worth promoting. So I'll do whatever it takes.
And we're getting down
with the Browns.
with the Browns.
Happy birthday,
Absolutely.
Mac. Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Mac.
Thank you
And
guys.
it's been a great episode.
Great way to spend my birthday, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Best coworkers in the world.
Let's go. Let's go.
Wait,
And-
no. Three, not including myself. 4, including myself. 3.
Well, that was an Ed move right there.
No,
I love
yeah,
it.
definitely feel.
Well, anyways, that was a great episode, guys. Had a lot of fun, and thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Go Browns.
Go Browns!